Hey everyone, I have the privilege of talking to the team behind Crystal Hearts, which you probably have heard about, you've probably seen. But we'll talk about that in depth and the projects they're working on, the new stuff coming out. It's really quite cool. And as always, we have a topic, and today we're going to talk about no PowerPoint rules, sort of what's in the book, but this team has really, I don't know, made it work, I guess I'll say.
Yeah.
So everyone, thanks again.
We sat down with it, and we were very stern, and we got results. Yes.
Excellent. So let's get right into it. So why don't you guys introduce yourself? Tell everybody what you've been working on and what's exciting in your world.
Okay, hi, I'm Aviv. I'm an illustrator and a comic artist working mainly in tabletop games. I've worked with Critical Role and Dimension 20, Penny Arcade, a bunch of other fun games and people. And lately I've been doing mostly comics with Dark Horse, which has been very fun. And the reason I'm here today is because I'm also the artist and co-creator of Crystal Heart, the webcomic and the role-playing game.
Hello, I'm Eran. I'm an editor for Son of Oak, the guys behind Legend in the Mist and City of Mist. I've been in the role-playing creation space as an editor, writer, translator for like 20-something years. And the reason I'm here is because I'm the writer co-creator for Crystal Heart, which is a webcomic, still a webcomic that can be found on up4players.com. Because it's a webcomic about Savage Worlds, there's also a Savage Worlds adaptation that's available in print on demand and PDFs through Drive-to-RPG. And it has even several expansions. And because Aviv works at Dark Horse, maybe it's also about to be the first the Savage Worlds printed thing, as far as I know. It's coming in physical form. The whole 300 and something pages of the comic.
Yeah.
Teaching you how to play Savage Worlds. If you go through it, if you actually read it from the beginning, if you buy the book and actually read it, it will even teach you how to play Savage Worlds.
That's fantastic. Wow, that's really cool. So 300 pages of content to read through and learn Savage Worlds while you enjoy some good reading. I mean, it's not the dry rule book, right?
No, that's not exactly. We also have the dry rule book. It's not dry. It's not dry. We also have the actual Crystal Heart rule book at only 200 and something pages, but that's an actual regular rule book with text and art and no story. And actually, it was a conscious decision. It actually has nothing to do with the comics. The comics is about a specific group of players playing a specific campaign in this world, but the whole point of the Crystal Heart RPG book, which is obviously an adaptation of Savage Worlds, is to just allow you to do whatever you want with the world, not necessarily having to know the comic or care about the comic at all. So you don't need to read a comic to play in it. You do need to have some whimsy, I think. It's a whimsy world.
So can you just give the for those who haven't seen it, which I would be surprised if folks haven't at least read a couple-ish, because you guys come up all the time in the Savage Worlds community as a great resource. Give the one paragraph overview of what makes Crystal Hearts unique and interesting, because there's some really cool concepts in there that is definitely different than what most folks would probably be used to.
So Crystal Heart is set in a world where everyone's heart is made of stone. Just there is a bit different than usual. But then special agents of an organization called Sin, which the player characters play, they can switch those stone hearts of theirs with crystals, shiny gems that they find lying about in the world. And each such crystal gives them a set of unique, interesting, thematic superpowers, and also changes that personality in some kind of way. And their mission, should they choose to accept it, and if they've given up their heart, then they must have chosen to accept it, is to roam about the 5 lands that make up the world of Crystal Heart and find more crystals. They have a lot of backing from the Sin organization to do pretty much whatever they want, as long as they can justify it with, we were hunting for crystals, so it was fine.
Also mechanical backing. We created a system called Requisition, vaguely based on the wealth system from Suede, not Suede, sorry, Adventure Edition. Suede.
Yeah, that's Suede.
Yeah, it is Suede. Okay. So for a moment I thought about the deluxe because there's a D in Suede, and I thought, that's a deluxe. No. Vaguely based on it, so you can actually get things from Sin, and you gain Requisition, and you can buy things with Requisition, or you can roll Requisition and you get different stuff. It's fun.
The whole vibe of the RPG, as well as the comics, obviously, is very cartoony and colorful and fun, but also when you start diving into it, you find the maybe not as colorful and fun bits of the world, and the secrets and conspiracies and things that Sin is trying to hide, and also any kind of campaign where you switch out your core being with something else that is mysterious and kind of unexplained.
For a giant corporation with unclear intentions.
Yeah, can definitely lead to interesting complications.
Yes. Again, I read it a long time ago, and I came back to it recently, and it's really, I just love the take. I really do. It's there's some settings that are good settings, but they sort of just play into some tropes, but it's really basically just some, the same old. Your stuff is very unique, and it takes a different take on things. So I think people should check it out for sure. It's a great product. So what do you say? Do we want to get into no PowerPoints?
It's an excellent segue, because I think the main reason that maybe our setting evokes this thing is because of our take on the no PowerPoint rule, specifically, even, I would say.
And I didn't even plan that. It just turns out that that's a great segue. So let's talk about no PowerPoints. Let's talk about the basic rules, and then roll into how you've modified them and kind of taken them to the next level. That might be the best. Might be a reason to pick up the setting, just so you can have all that great material, because it's really easy to mix and match Savage Worlds things and take the best out of each book that you might have. So tell me what the basics of the no PowerPoint rules are. It's literally a half a column in the
it's nothing.
Setting rules.
It's really simple. Yeah. In Suede, it's really simple. When you're supposed to pay the PowerPoint for a power, instead of paying them, you roll the arcane skill with a modifier that is half of the amount that you would have paid, rounded up. So if a power costs 2, then you roll with -1. If you added a modifier that would add another 1, then it would cost 3, and then you roll with -2, because it's 1/2 rounded up to 2. That's the basic. Yes. What we want is for the players in Crystal Heart to basically feel like superheroes. So you can always activate your powers. You never need to track PowerPoints. You never need to think about recharging. You just do the thing. If you have a power that make someone, you can always try to make people. However, because of this, we also needed to up, I think, the price. At the time when we took this out, there was still the superpower companion still wasn't out for Suede, so I didn't know what they would suggest on what would the rules be for how to do that. So instead, we made it so that there's a chance of a double 1 that you desync. That because the crystal inside of you is not your heart, there is a chance that it actually stops acting as your heart for a moment, which make you choke and possibly die unless someone comes along to help you.
I didn't remember that.
We literally we literally use the strangulation rules. It's like being unable to breathe, and you take fatigue, and it's bad, and that's terrible, etc. But it's only on a double one. Still, it's quite a price. Also, failing is not fun. On your turn, if you have a crystal, and you got the crystal, and you put the crystal inside of you, and you like this crystal, and it's awesome, and it has powers that you want to try out, and you fail, that's annoying. That's not fun, I would say. It may be in a more tactical game that would make sense, but in Crystal Heart, everything needs to always happen. That's sort of like I wouldn't say it's written anywhere, but we need things to continue happening, and failing is stopping. So there's a rule that says when you fail, you can take a level of fatigue and do it anyway. It can still succeed. You push, you pay the price. Level fatigue is not a simple thing to take. You can only reduce it after like 5 minutes of rest or something, so not during this fight. And it's a -1 on everything, etc. But you still do the thing as if you rolled a 4. So go ahead and try it anyway. That's like the point. Fail. Go ahead, fail. That would be great. Go ahead, desync. Start choking. That would be great. We need things to happen.
Well, I think that's a great, one of the things about the main PowerPoint rules in the core book is those minuses are really tough to get over sometimes. A minus, so if you want to cast a higher level, higher ranked spell or power that has a lot of points, boy, you're putting a lot of penalties on, and that's a tough one to overcome. I like the concept of, even if you fail, you can say, let's make it happen, and just take a penalty from that, which is, a pseudo fail forward kind of concept, right? I'm failing, but something happened, and I got a negative for it that I can move forward. How long till the fatigue goes away? Is that still a day, or what's it take to get rid of that fatigue?
We only said like 5 minutes, so you can rest 5 minutes and it's fine.
So to start during
it's really not a big deal. Yeah. It's exactly. It's making it an encounter problem and not something. We even went a step further. So there's a thing called ongoing. When we say, you know what, this power that you want to activate, it's so straightforward, and it's not an action power. It's not a fighty power. You're not attacking someone. You just, for example, make yourself more amenable. Boost trait, right? You just want boost trait. And with no PowerPoint, you can maintain powers. I don't remember if you can maintain them indefinitely, but again, when you're a superhero, obviously you can maintain indefinitely. You're a superhero. You always can have the power. It makes no sense for it to last 5 minutes and then you need to activate it again. You just always have it, or you deactivate it. So we went with, you know what? Don't roll, it just activates. We call these powers ongoing. You can roll them to activate if you need to, like in the middle of a fight and you need to activate your boost rate, then go ahead and roll. But if you have a few minutes, and we don't say exactly how long because we don't actually care, but you have a short while to sit down and activate it, it just activates. You know what? It activates with a raise if you want to. Don't roll. It just does. But, well, Aviv can talk about it, but generally speaking, sort of like with how every crystal has a disposition, a negative thing that pushes you to act in a certain way, every ongoing power has sort of its own negative sort of thing going on. And if you activate it with a raise, it's even worse. So you might, for example, I remember this one, Aviv, the guy from the starter set, which is free and you can download on Drive Through RPG. What's his name?
Kovac?
The guy, Kovac, yes, Kovac. The Bogovian dude. He has a crystal that makes him wolf-like, sort of thing. And he has a power that allows him to gain, I think it's boost rate notice, but only on smell, because it becomes like a great smeller. He can smell very well. But when he activates it, he can only growl. He can't speak. So, sure, you can have it on all the time if you want to, but you can only growl, you can't speak. And if you activate it with a boost, your notice will be incredible. You can smell everything, but you also walk on all fours, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, you can try not to, but it is sort of like going against hindrance. It's difficult. It might require something that the GM has the right to say you need to roll to be able to work on two, because now you have this urge, this unstoppable desire within you to work on all four, for example.
Yeah, so this set of powers, these crystals, they're not like a tool belt that you wear around your waist and you can just take things out and use them for your benefit all the time. They are literally the core of your being when they are in you. So yeah, when you get the good bits, you also get the negative sides of things, or not negative, but the whatever implications the theme of this crystal has. You can't just pick and choose the things that you need right now. You get the whole heart, basically. And it is worth mentioning again that these guys that you're playing, these Sin agents, they're agents. Like they've gone through training. They're not just people who got some cool powers out of, I don't know, as a superhero you can get your powers from anywhere. But they have been trained to use these crystals, and they have been implanted with specific equipment to let them use these crystals. So they definitely have the training, the skills to use them properly and to make the best of them. But again, it is their heart that is acting out sometimes. So that's part of the fun of Crystal Heart, is this balance of getting all the cool things that your crystal can do and all the weird, unexpected stuff that comes with it.
It gives a lot of role-playing.
And none of this would make sense. Exactly. That's what we made it, because we want to give you all sort of hints and stuff. You never need to roll your hindrances fully, right? It's hindrances, many of them are there for you to have fun with, to enjoy yourself, to be a bit envious or whatever, when you feel like it. The crystals do the same. They give you opportunities most of the time. Some of the crystals give hindrances that are, have mechanical leanings and the like. But again, none of this would work with PowerPoints. I think that the fact that we have no PowerPoints and that there's no price for you to pay, therefore, when you activate a power, forced us to turn to role-playing hints and additional hindrances and just all sort of fun negative things for you to deal with. I mean, nothing prevents you from going around and howling. It will be fun to see this in an interaction with, the village elders or something, if it's really important for you to keep your nose heightened for some reason. Let's see this happen. Let's go ahead.
So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. So if somebody was to, it's a unique system. It's very tied to the fact. I think it works really well because everybody's got one of these crystal hearts. So failing forward, yes. How do you, in maybe another kind of campaign, the fact that the power users now sort of have, it's always going to work, but I have a negative. How does that impact kind of the balance with like martial characters or somebody who doesn't have powers? Putting you on the spot a little bit. If you're going, well, I got to think about it, then that's fine. But
that's an incredible question, which I had to wrestle with because we are putting out crystal channeling as its own arcane background to be used with other settings.
Oh, nice.
It will be out probably. Yeah. It will probably out around when the physical comic is out in like a month or so. And it's not very long. And the main concept there is, well, if in the world of Crystal Heart there are no other arcane backgrounds, there's no other way to get magic. And sort of like you said, because everyone has it, the fighters have it, and the negotiator has it. Everyone have crystal, which can be different. You can change them, etc. But in a world where there is a fighter who is just a fighter, and someone can have an arcane background for crystals, I went with the decision of, and another important thing, and you don't replace your heart. I mean, I can't ask people in other worlds to replace their hearts, and it will be very ugly without a harness, which is how sin agents do it.
It might work in
which is very high
Cyberpunk,
techy.
so.
In Cyberpunk, yeah. And that's the only way where I think it can make sense. So because that's terrible, I went with something else. Crystals are amulets. You need to use your own sort of like amulet holder on you. It's very prominent. It's a very big thing. And when it's activated, it's so powerful that it sort of takes over some of your own life force because you have to mingle with it. And so we explain how you get the hindrances and the like from crystals. The way I think for me to control it's not a great solution. And I might not remember it correctly from what I wrote, because it was a while ago. But the way for me to both manage the crystal powers themselves and the balance against other characters is to put on the GM completely, almost. Because in a world where your powers really depend on what crystals you have access to, it's how else can we do it unless the GM decides, basically. So, for example, if you got this edge, and you have, let's say, 2 starter crystals. Great, good for you. But they are weak. They are starter crystals. And they're also very limited in their power, especially compared to probably most other spellcasters who can take edges that give them more powers that they can then use. You are always limited to just what you have. Not necessarily because you can also spend the Benny and do what we call the stunt and create the power on the spot, but it's cost a Benny. So you want more crystals, but the only way to get more crystals is for the GM to give you more crystals. There's no rules way for you to get them. There's no edge you can buy. You can't literally buy them with money. They are out there in the world. And also, the specific crystal you get also depends on the GM. So, for example, if there's... Aviv, can you remember any crystal that is very, very fighty, that is all about doing damage?
Oh, let's see.
We don't have a lot of them, actually.
We have Claw.
Claw.
The theme of Claw is sharp, deep, tearing pain, curving to make it even more painful.
Ouch.
Very painful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a thing like that, right, I would... What is it? Right.
Yeah.
As a GM, if I had a fighter in the group, I don't think I would have Claw in my world. So I would not provide this set of options to the crystal holder. If they want to go that way, encourage them to take, I don't know, fighting and fighting edges, and the like. They won't be getting crystals that provide them with powers that are completely obliterating the niche of someone else in the group.
Right. Okay, so that's a great take, I think. And you said that's kind of when the print book comes out, that's going to be sort of, you'll have another release of other things on Drive-Thru-RPG at the same time, sort of as a splash.
Yes.
Okay.
We're taking this opportunity. Yeah. We're also releasing a PDF called Original Sin, which is very much for the people who enjoyed both the comic and the RPG book, because this is the one that bridges them both. This is a PDF in which we go over everything we said we want in the RPG book and explain everything about the comic, and only the comic, and what actually goes on, and all of the rules for all of the things and all of the monsters and stuff like that.
Interesting. That's cool. So there's going to be a lot of content that folks can pick up. So the book. So from how does the no PowerPoints that you have, how does that how do you see that in the comic? I mean, when it's being when you're, I mean, because obviously a comic is going to be a little bit different. You know, there's a story behind it. How does it? How does that kind of I don't know what the right way of saying it, kind of merge into the story that you're telling within the comic itself? Is it just taking these rules and using it, or is there some sort of spin that's put on it to make it more interesting from a story standpoint?
So
I'm pointing at Aviv, but
yeah,
okay.
I feel that.
Yes.
So the story of Crystal Heart, the comics, is about the people playing Crystal Heart. We obviously dip into the story that they're telling inside the world, but it's really about the game around the table. And the way we're explaining Savage Worlds and Crystal Heart mechanically throughout the comic is by having Nadav, the GM, explain the rules to his players as they play. So the concept of PowerPoints never even comes up because we don't need it in Crystal Heart. So there's no point in bringing it up around a table where your players have never played Savage Worlds. You only really explain what you need in order to play it. And I think if we had used PowerPoints, it would have made any opportunity of using powers in the comic a little bit drier, I think, a little bit more mathematical. If every time one of our player characters decided they heroically want to use some power, or stupidly use some power for fun, or fumble to use some power, they had to count how many PowerPoints they had and do the maths of how it's going to work, that would have taken away a little bit the fun and the action of the scene. And using our rules, the Crystal rules, just makes it a lot more organic. It's literally how I think the way our player characters interact with it is kind of like a superhero. It's just like, I'm activating my power of
Right.
shooting a magical rope out of my chest to climb to the top of the train and do battle there, for example. So it's, if you didn't know PowerPoints existed in Savage Worlds and you read Crystal Heart, you would have no reason to suspect that you ever needed PowerPoints for anything, basically.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. So the it's all about the play, and you want to move the story forward that the players are telling within
Exactly.
and
Yes.
not bogged down with the math, because in a real session
Carl,
we
I have
get
a
bogged
question.
down with math for sure when you're doing PowerPoints.
I have a question, Carl. Do they have cantrips in Suede or only in Pathfinder?
Cantrips? Is that what you said?
I don't remember.
They only have,
Yes.
I think,
Yes.
boy, I got to think about the Fantasy Companion. I know they have them in Savage Pathfinder, but I'm trying to think about the Fantasy Companion.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't have it up, but
The reason I'm asking is, now that I think about it, Aviv, what we call casual use is again sort of comes up from the no PowerPoint. And it's sort of like a cantrip. It's a very simple thing. It just gives +1 to any action that is relevant to the theme. But that brings me to something that I really want to talk about. Can Aviv, can you please explain what the theme is? I think it's really cool for what we went with.
I mean, a theme of a crystal is just the what's it called in Savage Worlds? Trappings.
trappings.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the theme of a crystal. It's the
What it's about.
Yes. So, for example, we have a crystal that shoots a rope out of your chest. So the theme is about, yes, it's about shooting ropes and doing cool things with ropes. It's also about, for example, the disposition it gives you is, I forgot the specific name of the hindrance.
Pacifist.
Pacifist, yeah, because from having that theme inside of you of using a rope instead of using violence, that is what you choose. That is how you choose to live your life, basically. That is guiding your actions. And everything, once you have a crystal inside you, everything is sort of governed by the theme of it, the good things that you can do with it, as well as the bad thing that it does to you, or the strange things that it does to you.
And
And
in any
like
place
ongoing.
will
So there's kind of a yin and
and
yang
in
to
any
it.
place exactly. And in any place where the thing would be relevant, cast wrapping with the GM, you get a +1 on the roll. So if you have the rope and you use it for something that is not relevant to any of the powers, you don't activate any of the powers of the crystal, you can still get +1 on it. It's your rope. It's literally your rope. And whatever you do with it, as long as it is vaguely relevant to ropes, it would work. And again, sort of the point here is to try, as this is what we do with trappings. I don't know if that's what every table do, but try to have a conversation between player and GM and be creative and come up with, okay, so how do I use this magical thing in a way that is interesting and can mesh with what I want to do?
Yeah, that's the key for sort of bringing the player's creativity to the table. There's powers that are always really much more aligned with that, and it seems like you're saying all powers that
All powers.
we can give the players a chance to kind of have a creative use of it just by role playing it in, finding the right way of explaining how it works, and then of course with the way you guys do it with the it's going to happen, and that's kind of a cool concept for players who want to sort of flex that muscle, that role playing muscle. And I have a player in my game who loves to find different unique ways to use powers and explain the trappings and how it's going to work and what other players see. So that would be right up his alley. He would just love that option to be able to do that. So.
Exactly. And Eran mentioned before that we have a rule where we can do stunts with crystals. So you have a list. Every crystal has a small list of powers that it inherently has. But if you're vibing with your crystal and you know what you're doing with it, you can come up with your own. You spend a penny, but as long as what you're describing fits the theme of your crystal, you can just come up with a totally new power that is not listed there. Use all your creativity, create something really cool. And I think we also have rules in place where you can then practice that stunt enough to make it an integral part of your crystal for future use, where you don't have to use a Benny anymore.
Yes, and also if you get 2 raises.
Yeah, it's so good, it just sticks automatically.
Oh, so a reason for having double raises in most Savage World stuff, 1 raise is enough,
Exactly.
2 raises is useless.
Exactly.
So, all right, cool. That's very cool. So tell me, let's return back to what you guys have going on. So we talked about you're releasing a few things together. Tell me more. I think we kind of glossed a little bit over it, but from the book standpoint, where is it going to be available? How does people get a hold of it? Where if it's exciting it should be exciting if you haven't had a chance to follow the comic. Now you got it all in one hand that you can really dig through. So what, the where, the how, the why, all that kind of stuff for it.
So the book comes out from Dark Horse, which is incredible because they did all the printing and the distributing and stuff. So that's fantastic. But also it means that any store, any comic book store, bookstore that sells Dark Horse comics, which is many of them, should have this book available. And you can definitely and should make sure that your local comic book has it by pre-ordering it today. It should come out 25th of November, so in like a month and a half. We're very excited. I actually have our advanced copy that I can sneakily show.
Oh, that's a chunky boy.
It's a very, very chunky boy. It's so many pages, and so as we said before, The webcomic still is available online. You can go now and read it all for free. But pressing next 310 times is kind of a pain. And I think this is just a lovely way to read it. We also have, so when you read it online, you get a little post that comes with almost every page where mostly Eran wrote some thoughts and discussions and cool, like interesting theory about role-playing games, about Savage Worlds.
Some of it is like general discussion about like theory craft about what's going on in RPG wise as a GM, but some of it is very specific Savage Worlds, where in one of them we like give some in the first few ones, because the audience asked for it, I go panel by panel and explain what is going on with the rules and exactly what is being rolled in each of them, or what card is being drawn, or whatever. And that was a lot of fun. None of it got into the book because there's no room for it.
Yeah, we didn't have another 500 pages to include all of that in the graphic novel itself, unfortunately. But Eran did write a few really good short essays at the start and sometimes at the end of some of the chapters to just like nail down some points about Crystal Heart, the mechanics of Crystal Heart, or role-playing games in general, some key ideas to take from it to your table. So that's a really nice added value to the book. So yeah, that comes out 25th of November, and you can pre-order it now, and hopefully you can find it wherever comics are sold after it comes out. And we will also have, if you want to expand on the PDFs that we're going to release around about the time when that comes out.
The two we've discussed, basically. We already have so many. We have, obviously, the core PDF. That's also, the Crystal Heart RPG is the only one that is actually available on print on demand as well, through drive-thru. But we have many one-pages, because one page is great. It's the best format. But it's just the best. So we have like 5 or 6 that were written by various authors that we hired. We have Original Sin, as I discussed, is coming soon, but we also have Living in Sin, which goes even deeper rules-wise into requisition and handling Sin as an organization and what rules you can use with it, and something that I really like, because I think there's very few things that are more fun in Savage Worlds than drawing on a table. Drawing and getting I know clubs. Well, clubs is usually the worst, but drawing and getting something is great. It's great. So we have rules for creating your character by drawing a few cards to see what they went through as they were training in Sin. And so you can see what skills they got, what sort of connections they got, what edges they got, and that's so fun. What else? We also have a PDF called, what is it called? It has a heart pun, full of heart, right? Which is just more crystals, but probably some of the more out there crystals.
Yeah.
Again, we think it's really important for a theme to be interesting. So it's really rare for a crystal to just give you fighting powers. We actually generally classify crystals into 5 ranks, like the ranks that you level up through. So novice ones, we would say, are things that aid you in whatever else you are doing. So for example, if you're a fighter or a thief or whatever, a novice crystal would be helpful with that, but you can't rely on it. It's not going to be the main thing that you do. A seasoned crystal is the main thing that you do. It's this crystal, for example, the rope crystal, right? When you have a rope, every problem is
a thing that needs a rope.
The things that needs a rope. Or for example, when you can shoot fireballs, I think there's a crystal that allows you to shoot fireballs. So obviously that's not helping with anything else. You're going to shoot a lot of fireballs. This is what the crystal is. This is what you are now about. These are the seasoned one. Then there are veterans one, which are even more so, essentially. and they are so comprehensive that they give you a whole suite of things that you can do that are relevant to the thing. And also, their disposition is stronger, or they sort of forbid you from doing other things. Like, for example, if there would be a veteran crystal that allow you to teleport, you can be sure that the disposition, the bad parts, I'm doing air quotes, would make you very, very slow. So you will only be teleporting. You will not be walking. That's generally probably where it would go. The heroic ones make you a one-man army. This is it. There's barely you. There's mostly the crystal. There's almost nothing. None of your other skills are relevant, probably, when you have a heroic crystal. It has like 6 powers, usually. Half of them are ongoing. They make you whatever. They're incredible. And the legendary crystals are a story thing. They are narrative. They don't have rules. They don't need rules. They're like artifacts. Whatever the GM decides, sort of.
Oh, that's great. So there's ways of so you can get the core, you can build upon it. You got some great adventures for those who want to kind of get into it and try it out, because you got some one sheets, which is great. We've got the it looked like a beautiful book, even though we could only see a little bit on the screen, but it looks fantastic. So a lot of really good stuff. I really appreciate you guys coming on and talking about how you handle no PowerPoints, how it ties into the setting, how it ties into sort of the core of the kind of the comic and how it all plays together. Really appreciate that. I think there's some things nuggets that people can get out of this video, but I think they should go buy the actual, so that you can really get into it and really understand how it all is put together. I will look forward to the arcane background coming out, because that I think would be a great way of tying it into other settings and how they're all.
I would love to see reviews and feedback on it when it comes out. I would like to see what people think, and it will probably need to be tweaked. I'll be frank. It will probably need to be tweaked after it comes out.
And that's the beauty of Drive Through RPG. You can tweak it as you go along and make things. And then I'd be totally happy. Send me anything you guys got. And, again, I'm a channel, so content is king, and get a chance to look through things and kind of add to the narrative. The community, Savage Worlds community, is great. And so, adding more capability there is and products is really cool. So again, thank you so much for being on. Great content, great information. And I think everybody who stayed to the end got something great out of it. November 25th, right? Book comes out. Where your favorite local comic book store or places that have Dark Horse Comics, which is everybody, so for sure. Go down, check it out. And there's a lot of content in it. It's a big book, so I think you'll probably enjoy that. And once again, I'm Carl, and thank you for my guests, and we will catch you in the next video. Thank you much. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carl.
World, one of the best games today. Savage World, Benny enhance my play. Savage World, different setting in a day.